In this video, I'm going to show you how to overcome one of the toughest challenges when it comes to writing music, and that is how to put chords and a chord structure behind a melody that you have in your head. The most awesome thing about this technique is you don't need to play an instrument or have any knowledge whatsoever of chords or music theory. I'm using Cubase Pro because it's got the best compositional tools for people writing music or writing songs. From a blank project, the first thing I'm doing is adding an audio track. And this is going to be mono because it's for my vocal. Next up is adding the vital ingredient, and that's the chord track. The chord track is where we're going to start building chords to support our melody. We need a sound for the chord track to drive though, so I'm just selecting a very simple piano sound from Sonic SE3. We can add other color later. Now it's a matter of checking your levels and hitting record and singing or playing your melody into Cubase. If at any point in this video you feel like there's something you don't know how to do, like set up a microphone or an audio interface or record a track, then go to the Cubase YouTube channel and there's plenty of videos there to get you on your way. I've set up a couple of effects channels here, a reverb and a stereo delay, just to warm this vocal up a little bit. There's lots of videos online about this, but another way to get a really nice melody is to record different versions of it and then chop or comp these versions up into small snippets. Another thing that I always do is chop my vocals up into phrases. So these are small sentences, if you like. And this is really important for the process that we're about to undertake. When you record a vocal, usually you just see the waveform. But in Cubase Pro, you can go to VariAudio and use VariAudio to analyze the audio and put it into notes on a piano score down in the lower zone. Now we can see a clear visual representation of the notes that we've just sung. You can use the cursor keys on your computer keypad to scroll through them. You can use these really simple pitch correction tools to make sure that your melody is in tune, and you can even change things like the amount of vibrato. One of the magic things about VariAudio is you can extract the Midi from the audio information. So what I've just done is turned my vocal into notes. So you can see it's C, C, D, E. So we know that it starts around about C. Now it's time to go to the chord track. So I'm going to grab my pencil and just draw in a chord. Now you can see that these first two musical sentences go over 4 bars, so I'm just putting a chord at the start of each bar. Make sure Sonic SE is set as the monitoring source. Now we click on the first X and you can see we've got all these different chord suggestions. I'm choosing C, and it's not a bad start. So it's all about just trial and error here, I think. If you get the wrong chord, you'll know about it. Let's go across to the next X. And this time I'm going to go across to Chord Assistant. And there's a number of different menus in Chord Assistant. This first one gives us a whole 4 bar or 4 chord suggestion. So it's saying F would work well there.
Waiting for the day to pass.
Not bad. But there's other things we can do. We can use proximity. So you can see we've got C down the bottom, and this shows us some chords that might work around the actual chord we've got highlighted. My favorite is the circle of fifths though. This is a genius but simple music compositional tool. All of these chords around the C are chords that are going to work, and they're chords that you'll hear in a lot of pop music.
Waiting for the day to pass.
So I can try all of these different chords that really are very close in relation to the first chord, which is C.
For the day to pass.
So maybe I want to use a different color, so A minor, which is the relative minor of C. So they go very well together.
Get it out of my head.
You can use the cursor keys on your keyboard to go backwards and forwards in between chords.
Waiting for the day to pass. Can't get it out of my head.
That's not bad at all. It's a good start, but maybe you want to start with the minor chord.
Waiting for the day to pass. Can't get it out of my head.
That's not bad either, but it's quite repetitive because I'm just repeating the same chords. So I'm going to go back to the circle of fifths and change this second chord.
Waiting for the day to pass.
Yeah, that works. Look, that's really cool, and that's one of the most awesome things about the chord track is we've just come up with so many different solutions in a couple of minutes. Now I've got the backbone of these first 2 musical sentences covered. I can look at adding other chords in between this backbone to try and link it together.
Waiting for the day to pass.
Look, that's not bad, but it's a matter of trial and error. So if you like the chord, try it somewhere else. There's no rules.
Waiting for the day to pass. Can't get it out of my
Look, this is really easy, but one of the biggest problems you
Time.
have when you're coming up with chords is you're really hard on yourself. It's as though we set ourselves these ridiculous standards that we've got to achieve. And when you're doing that, just stop and realize pop music, in terms of
Time
chord
just
structure, is
so
really quite
still.
simple. It's so simple that basically what I'm doing here is copying exactly the same as what I had in the first two sentences. So I'm using exactly the same chords.
Time just stood so
The timing
still.
doesn't quite work because the melody is pushed here. So I'm just moving this forwards.
Time just stood
Still a
so
bit behind.
still. Time just stood so still.
The great thing about working like this is I can actually see a visual representation with the WAV file, so I can match chords to the actual vocal.
Time just stood so still.
Now,
Now
this next
I'm
section, the
waiting.
vocals come ahead of where I feel a chord should be, so I'm just going to grab a pencil and put a chord in here at the start of the bar. Keep it simple and go with a C.
Now I'm waiting, and I
Now,
don't
space is
feel
always your best friend when it comes to chords. You don't need to have a load of changes in there. Keep it simple, keep it spacious, and let that melody take the lead
and
role.
I don't feel
So whether I go with a minor or a major here, it doesn't matter. It's up to you.
and I
Actually, it's up to me,
don't
but I'm going to stick with that major. Now I want to show you another way of using chords inside of Cubase, and this involves chord pads. The chord pads live in the lower zone, and basically they're pads that contain chords. We can use the circle of fist to choose different chords, or the neat thing is we can copy these chords that we've just built up in Chord Track directly down to the chord pads. There they are. There's only 5 chords, but that's already one more than most pop songs. You can trigger a whole chord using an external Midi device. Use these trigger notes to play along with your track and try and find chords that work for you. It's a very different way of using chords than, say, the Chord Track. This is more of a feel your way around kind of vibe. Both Chord Track and Chord Pads work perfectly together. When you think you've got an idea, hit record and put it down. And don't worry about perfection. It's about capturing musical ideas. So using just one finger, I've recorded all of these chords onto the Hellion Sonic track. And now I can go into the lower zone and start tidying it up. For instance, at the moment, I'm editing the velocity so that every chord is played evenly.
I won't fight, I won't hide.
The other thing we can do is make sure the timing is perfect. So I'm selecting a quantized setting and just hitting Q on my keyboard,
Without your love,
and the idea is played perfectly in time. In terms of production, now you can take it in any direction. I've added more instrument tracks and they're all linked up to the chord track. So these tracks are all going to follow the chords that I've created. Once again, there's plenty of videos online to show you how to do this.
can't get it out of
I'm going to show you one final awesome trick in Cubase, and this is to generate harmonies. Select a part, generate harmony voices, select how many voices you want, and hit OK. You can even control whether you want the harmony voices to follow the vibrato of the original singer. 4 different vocal harmony parts have now been generated. I'm just dropping the level so they don't sit over the top of the lead vocal. There's a few other things I'd do to treat them, like pan them and probably add effects to them.
time just
Now this is
so
giving us this
still.
really current poppy sort of generated vocal sound. If you struggle to create your own harmonies and you want to sing them yourself, you can just highlight them and you can see the parts that Cubase has created. Thanks for taking the time to stop by. As I said, there's plenty more videos on the Cubase YouTube channel. Please jump over and subscribe so you know when videos like this are being released, and get involved with the comments so that you're part of a wider creative community of people who are all trying to do the same thing: make music. I'll catch you in another video.